What's up? It's your boy Humble Dad in the building. Welcome back to another edition of Humble Dad. We're gonna have a great show. Why? Because I said so. Not only that, we have some individuals that have a very unique perspective on life and topics in general. And so we're gonna bring to the stage first of all my road dog, Mr. Dwayne Jones. What's going on, homie?
Yo, yo, living it up, man, living it up.
Listen, you always talking about you living it up, but I don't really believe it. But hey, it's your story, and you seem to be sticking to
Hey, fake it till I make it.
it. For sure. So the first question, I'm gonna ask everybody, what's your favorite color and why?
Favorite color is blue. Growing up, my brother loved red, and I'm like, you know what, no, man, And so red is the opposite, so I'll take the blue.
Red is the opposite of blue.
That's how I feel. Look at the police cars. You got the red and blue contrast. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Hands up.
All right, bring it to the stage, Miss Shan. What's going on?
Good evening, everybody.
What's going on?
Nothing much. Okay, I know the question.
Okay,
Green, baby,
why?
because it's like the color of money, it's color of life. Plants, giving back, Mother Earth, all of that good stuff. I don't know. That's fake answers. I just like green.
That's a bet. All right, so we got coming to the stage, Mr. Uncle Stepdaddy. What's your favorite color, homie? Well, first,
I'd say my
before you answer, I want to say welcome for the first time. You're gonna get that lighting right. You know what I'm saying? So we can see your face and all that.
yes, sir.
Right? All right. But
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate you joining us today. You know what I'm saying?
I'd say my favorite color is probably I got a few, but my
Nah,
favorite
bro.
color is green.
One.
Because
Listen. One.
one, I had to say
Yes.
green because of money.
Green because of money. All right, that's
Yes.
a bet. So we got two greens, and we're gonna welcome to the stage Miss Shay McNuckles. What's up, lady?
Hey.
Doing all right?
I am doing well. Thanks for bringing me back another week.
Listen, you always have a good perspective, so I'm gonna bring you back as long as you say yes. You know what I'm
Thank you.
saying?
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us, what's your favorite color?
The usual girl color, pink. It's so pretty and just cute. So that's me.
The color pink is cute. Okay, got it. All
Cute.
right. So you like the cute. All right. Thank you
Keep
for
it cute.
answering. Bet. All right, and welcome to the stage, new addition, Dr. Tarcia, right? Tarcia.
Yes, hey everybody. And I know the question also, and I'm sorry, Dwayne, but I have to go with the opposite, which is red. Red turns heads. So
Come on.
I'm red. Red, represents the blood of Jesus. Red represents the best sorority in the nation, Delta Sigma Theta.
Mhm.
And just a red. I'm a red girl.
Ooh, okay, that was some really good thought behind that, right? My favorite color is royal blue, right? Well, midnight blue. Apologize, midnight blue. It's almost to the point of where it's black, but like it's that that is very calming. Right? The navy blue and the midnight blue is very calming to me, and I've always liked that color. So for me, it's royal or midnight blue. I think somebody's trying to come in, so let's see. Oh, here we go. Mr. Hank, what's going on, sir?
What's going on, big brother? Sorry for my tardiness.
Listen, man, it happens, bro. You know what I'm saying? Right? We when you get with your camera ready. Oh, there you go. There you go. Listen,
Right on, right
listen.
on.
I'm okay with you causing interruptions, bro. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause this is gonna be a very unique conversation. You ready
Oh,
for it?
yeah. Damn, I hope so.
That's a bet. So, did you hear the question?
No, I didn't. I'm sorry.
What's your
What was the
favorite
question?
color and why?
My favorite color,
Yeah.
blue.
Is there a particular blue?
Not a particular blue. I like royal blue and navy blue.
That's a bet. And why is that?
My favorite teams, sports teams. That's it.
Cowboys?
Hell no.
Listen, you didn't have to be so aggressive with your answer, bro.
I'm just
That's
saying,
a
brother.
pretty
I'm
aggressive
sorry.
answer. Okay.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, you held on
that's
to your L's and
that
everything.
that's a
Okay.
pretty harsh accusation you put on me right
That,
there. Don't
I
put that body on me.
apologize. Okay, so we throwing bowls off the top. Okay, got it. So what teams are you talking about? Desert with blue.
Uh, Kentucky Wildcats and the Chicago Bears.
Oh, okay. I
So
got you.
that's why I was late. I was watching the game. I said, let me step down at halftime. The game's getting good and close, and
That's fair.
so please
That's
forgive me.
fair. That's what's up. So the first question of this evening is, where is that? Describe friendship. How would you describe friendship? So we're gonna go Dwayne, Uncle Stepdaddy, Dr. Sarcia, Shay, Shan, and Hink. We're gonna go in that order. I'm sure somebody gonna forget, so I'll let you know when your turn is. Okay. We're gonna start with Dwayne. Describe friendship.
Friendship to me is a mutual relationship between people that's reciprocated, the highs and the lows. Someone who's there for you when you need them the most. And it's fairly easy to figure out who your friends are by who sticks around at your lowest point. So, a friend is somebody who is there for you and is able to reciprocate the love and the respect that you have through the highs and the lows.
Okay, short and sweet. Okay. Do you know who's next? All right, there we go.
All right. Describe friendship. Friendship is someone who knows you, the ins and outs, the pitfalls and the highs, the lows, the valleys, the mountains. Friend is someone that you can call on. So a friend is someone that can hold you accountable, and you're going to take their criticism. A friend is somebody that you can talk to about anything and everything. A friend can be someone that you're committed to, married to, because how can you be married to someone and they're not your friend first? So with that being said, those are my definitions of friend. Somebody that no matter what, when you're down and out, they're always there to give you a helping hand, not kick you when you're down.
And I'm next.
Yes, yes, Doc. Next.
Okay. They pretty much said it all, but just to say my own definition of friendship, again, it is a relationship between two people, um, relationship in which you can communicate with each other freely. I would like to say non-judgmental relationship where you can be open and honest and talk with them and feel like they're not going to judge you, but at the same time, they're going to be real with you and provide valuable feedback. And again, you and someone said reciprocate, meaning you're giving just as much as they're giving and vice versa. So you're pouring into them, they're pouring into you. You're helping them, they're helping you. So it's not a one-sided thing, it's definitely two-sided. Friendships are valuable. These are valuable relationships. These are relationships that help you throughout your life, through the ups and the downs, as somebody else already mentioned. But definitely communication. This is something that's very, very important as far as what a friendship is. It's a relationship between two people who can openly and honestly communicate with each other.
So, to me, friendship, so the Bible says one who has unreliable friends soon come to ruin, but there is a friend who sticks closer to any brother. So that means that you have a person who is committed to you almost as much as if they are your family, your blood. You have a mutual level of foundation of respect, love, accountability, and responsibility to one another. And so it truly sets the tone of um, your perspective in life, your environments. They are there to help you through transitions, They're there to encourage you, to motivate you, and also to hold you accountable.
Um, a friend, in my opinion, is someone who has been tested and tried through the fire. Um, I work in a school, and so you hear little kids say, "Oh, that's my friend," and have no idea who they actually are as a person. So a friend is someone who you have hit rock bottom and they were there. And you have, like someone said, you had the highs and the lows with him and they were still there. It is someone that you can depend on, someone that you can count on. They don't always have to be present, but when you need them, that you're able to call on them. A friend is maybe someone you don't see every day, someone you don't necessarily talk to every day, but you know that they have your backs. So
All right. Well, everybody said what mostly I wanted to say, but I don't know. I guess one thing about a friend, I know Uncle Stepdad said something about not kick you while you're down. Sometimes your friend needs to kick you while you're down because you need to hit that harsh reality. So to me, that's a friend to tell me my shit stinks when I don't think it is, when I'm feeling myself, when I need to be leveled off. You know, um, someone who's going to constantly hold me accountable. You know what I'm saying? Who's going to challenge me? You know, who's going to, I guess, really be my therapist. One, even though they don't have a doctorate in it, it's not their profession, but they are willing to listen as well as talk and give me loving advice. You know, come from a loving place when they do talk to me, even if it's in a harsh or in my face type manner. I know that's coming from a loving place. Somebody who I can tell them, "Hey man, I love you, dude," and he knows where I come from when I say that. Um, Man, to me that's a friend, like you said. When I know during COVID. Let me give, if you don't mind, giving an example. If you don't mind, do you?
Go ahead, bro. You see your homie makes messing with
Yeah, yeah. I don't know what's wrong. I think he's a little jealous of my beard because his beard's not as
you.
flush and
He does have a struggling
nice.
beard, that's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So I ain't got them issues, but nonetheless, hold me accountable, Logic.
Yeah.
But during
Shout out to
COVID, man,
Elijah.
me and my buddy, during the different times, we both had COVID, and I was willing on going over, taking a chance, come to this man's house, taking a chance of catching COVID before I even caught COVID, just to make sure he needed he had what he needed. I called him up, I was checking on him, and like I said, we don't. So I think somebody said somebody you don't call every day, but you still know that they're there for you. Well, and that's what it was. Usually about twice a month, saying I give him a call, I send him a message via text or whatever the case may be, and check how he's doing. He said, man, he just found out he had COVID, man. I said, man, okay. I said, I'm on my way. What you need? You know what I'm saying? Whatever you need. He said, man, I don't need no, don't come by. I don't want to get you sick. Whatever, man. I didn't even take it. Took him some cough medicine, orange juice, just little things that, something when you had a flu you might need. Like I said, we was limited on what we knew about the vid. So, but just doing that for him. And guess what? He did the same thing for me. Went to KFC, bought me a bucket of chicken, you know what I'm saying? A couple of days of DoorDash of groceries, and was went on picking my groceries up for me when I got them, when I needed for them to be picked up. So those are the little things like that you're willing on putting yourself on the line for these individuals. Not everybody would do it. Not family wouldn't even do it sometimes. So let alone a guy who has no blood, who's willing to do it. So that's a friend of me.
That's interesting that you didn't have anything to say. And then you provided, you know, very detailed example of what a friendship is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's very important for us all to have an like a basic understanding of what friendship is. And as we move and navigate through these topics, we're gonna keep those in mind. So with that being said, When, based on what y'all said, when does a person become a friend? Because the initial thing is that you have to find out who you got to first of all meet them, right? Got to got to have the initial conversation. There may be a number exchange, and then y'all begin to talk. So at that particular point, are they a friend, or when does friend end up become? I guess when does not accountability, but acquaintance become friend? When does acquaintance become friend? That's my question, and anybody can answer.
I don't know if you can necessarily put a pinpoint a time because it's going to be different for everybody. Um, I have a friend who recently, her mother passed away, and she called me and she was like, before she passed, she was like, she's in the hospital. And I was like, bet I'm there. And I mean, I canceled the rest of my plans, drove down, spent the night with her in the hospital in the most uncomfortable chair, but bless God, we made it through. And after everything was over, she was like, I don't know if I could have really called anybody else and they would have been there for me the way that you had. And she told me, like, that your actions showed me, solidified for me, like, you have my back. Because this is probably one of the lowest points that I could have come to in my life. And I picked up the phone. I didn't have to say much, and you told me you were on the road. So I think as we are going through life and we're facing different experiences, as we are, interacting with different things that we have day to day, being able to call on that person if it's for a piece of advice, um, judging how they're going to handle it. I mean, if I had a situation like that and I call somebody, I'm going to want to know how you're going to handle it. Do you really have my back? And so there are just pieces of interactions that happen that allow me to see who really is for me and who really is against me, who say they love me, but in actuality, they're just using me to see what they can get from me. How is this beneficial to them? And so I think we have to constantly look at those things, because we do have some people in our lives that we consider friends now, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be friends in the next season, that they'll be able to go with us into different circumstances and situations. Some of our friends are just meant for now, some of them are meant for a lifetime. And then we're going to meet some who are supposed to propel us or take us into whatever we have remaining and going on in our lives. So it depends. There's no time frame. We have to see how those people move and adjust with us as we're taking on experiences in life.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I could jive with that. That's so true. And a lot of people I'd see now will just take from you. And I'm not looking for someone to give me material, but I'm looking for people to keep it real. And I think in that it's hard to find, and I think it's on a chemistry it's a chemistry type thing. Whenever you're able to mesh well with somebody, in that first couple of encounters, and then whenever real gets real, it's still a calm and copacetic. And it's again for me, it's a give and take. And if there's an imbalance, and that's, I'll say, even early on in a relationship, if there's an imbalance in the give and take, that's where I see that something is not genuine and something's not real. And I look for that. And it's funny. I'll say to my I'll say to my daughter when she'll say something about a friend or something. I'm like, hey, baby, see, that's why I don't have friends. And I use it as a joke, but like whenever Facebook first came out, I was fresh out of, or actually going into high school, and the more friends you had was the cooler you were. MySpace, and you got the Facebook, and in that, it's like you find out real quick that those people are not your friends. It's not your friends. You're looking for me. I'm looking for something deep. How about this? I'll say, if somebody actually asks you how you're doing and they genuinely mean it, not that walking by each other in the street, hey, how you doing? and just keep it moving. No, no, no. How you doing? And not only that, they'll listen. And then they'll follow up on the next conversation, the next conversation, and the next conversation. You find out that they're listening. And then it's both ways. Like there's a listening and a talking and a talking and a listening, and it goes back and forth. And I think whenever you really find that people are paying attention to you for your best interest, not just their own. And I think it's easy to be able to detect that. A lot of people are selfish in this day and time.
Well, I'll say I don't know if there is a time limit on when a person becomes a friend. I am that person who has many friends, and people, it's like a running joke. People are like, you can't add no more friends to your friend list because I have a lot of friends, but um, each one of them I feel as though have a different purpose in my life. And so I think it's important to understand the type of friendship that you have with someone, right? Because you may not go to one friend with a certain issue, but you may go to another friend with that issue. And I think that that's perfectly okay. I don't think it takes away or devalues that friendship because you don't take everything to them. I do have one friend that I share everything with. She knows the good, the bad, the ugly, right? And then you have other friendships. They may know some good, some bad, some ugly, but not necessarily everything. And I still value those friendships the same. Even if I wouldn't bring something to them, they still hold value, and I would still show up for them the same, and they would show up for me in the same way as well. So I feel that equals support. So I just think it's important that you're able to compartmentalize. I tell my son all the time, know who you're dealing with. Like if he gets upset with somebody, I always say, know who you're dealing with. If you know who you're dealing with, then you'll know how to uh, maneuver through that relationship, that friendship, or whatever it is, because you know who you're dealing with.
I'll add, I had a friend in college who used to call everybody associate. She was like, hey, associate, hey, associate. And we had grew to know each other, and I felt like we were past associate, but she would still call me associate. But and this piggybacks off what Shan said, it usually takes an experience to happen for you to cross over from that associate standpoint to that friend standpoint. So it's usually some type of experience that happens, like with Shan. I don't know if if she realized that's when they became friends. Her friend mom passed away, and she was there for her. If she hadn't realized that Shan was her friend before then, I'm sure that experience made her realize it. So it's usually some experience that you encounter when you realize, oh, this person is really my friend and isn't just an associate. And so I think that, there's something that typically happens. And like they said, everyone else said before, there's no time frame you can put on it, but as you're developing a relationship, at some point when something happens, that person goes from just being an associate to being a friend.
Well, I know, like you were saying, there's really no time limit. But at the same time, you still want to, I guess, vet and make sure, who you calling a friend and who's not, because, you may call them a friend, but they may not feel you the same way. You know what I'm saying? So you definitely want to do that and make sure, because when, like you said, when you give somebody that title friend, you're ready to unload everything on them. You know what I'm saying? And looking for some sound good, logical advice that they're going to share with you or give you, and hoping that they're not the type to go out there and gossip and run off at the mouth and tell everybody who will listen. So I don't know. I don't know. Like you said, really, I couldn't put a time on it, but I remember I met a guy. We had a common bond with. Now we like two different teams. I mean, he likes the Dolphins. I like the Bears, and he likes Louisville. I like Kentucky. But we had a common bond. We both like in fantasy football, and it was just football fans, period. And so we created a bond like that, and that was less than a football season. I felt like, okay, this dude's a solid dude. You know, a full football season, it's probably about maybe 3 to 4 months. So in that amount of time, I realized this dude's a solid dude. You know what I'm saying? And we both had something in common. We both were a fan of marriage, believe in marriage, and at the time we was both married. Um, so I was always a fan of, going out on couples trip and not, women's trip and our guys trip by yourself. Just everything was done as a couple. If we're gonna go out of town, out of the country, whatever the case may be, or traveling, we're gonna do it as couple. So I had that same mindset. A lot of like other things we had in common that we always talked about, like one pot. What I'm saying, we talked about stuff like that. Now we had, of course, different political views, but that didn't matter. I look past that. So
I think what I'm hearing everyone like the common thing is like this level of vulnerability that you have or that is shared between two people, and so you're able to be vulnerable and open to a extent where you're comfortable with doing that because you don't share or just be vulnerable with just anyone. And so I think when you've had that type of experience or that feeling to where you're able to be vulnerable, then that's like the defining moment or the turning moment in that friendship.
because we also got to think. I don't know about y'all, but a couple of my friends, some things I share with my ex-wife never knew. She would never know. I never would tell her because it's something that happened between me and my friends, and we can relate as men. We can relate to what the things that I shared with him about, so that just wouldn't feel comfortable sharing with my wife, but was open and cool, and I felt like I could share that with my friend, and that's the type of relationship I had with him or with the two guys I'm talking about. So
That's good. Did anybody else have something to add to that?
Well, I'll throw some meat on the grill right quick with that. I don't think there's a time limit. I guess when it comes to that, you plant a seed, you grow, watch it grow, and then if it grows into something, let it be organic. Um, Something it's just like I don't know if this is the right thing to compare to it, but it's like if you dating someone and y'all committed and then they have children, you don't come in and trying to force a relationship with those kids. You just let it happen. You know what I'm saying? Because normally when you have a relationship with a young lady or a man and they have children, a lot of people come in trying to do too much, and they just let it be organic. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're a man or a woman, and because a lot of kids ain't gonna like you if they ain't the other parent. And you let it be organic, and they see that you ain't trying hard, trying to force something, because they gonna feel like it's fake, it's fraudulent, it's not. You know what I'm saying? It's plastic. So I would take it and just let it let it grow because um I look at it like, saying anybody. It might be like opposites attract. Sometimes you need that when it comes to two people. You don't need two people that's just alike and they like the same things. You can have differences. As long as we can agree to disagree, it's cool. We don't disrespect each other because it might be somebody that I'm cool with and you cool with them. That don't mean we gonna have the same type of friends, but eventually over time, that person grows on you and vice versa, and then they can blossom into something big. But it's just let nature take its course.
That's good. I wanted to address Hank. I think the issue that you and your other friend had is that y'all, the commonality that y'all had was that y'all like two horrible teams. I think that is what kind of bonded you all together. It's like called trauma bonding.
how is that what that
Yeah,
is?
that's what I'm saying. That's just my first thought. You know what I'm saying? I definitely could be wrong, but that's just my first thought. Though, right?
Oh, okay.
Uh,
I'm gonna let you
I've
have
been
it.
I've been sitting on that one since you said that. So
Yeah, I'm gonna let you have that one. Then I'm gonna let you have that.
for sure. Thank y'all for sharing. So we're gonna transition to as you're talking about the time length as well as what a friend is. My next question is, excuse me, do you have expectations for a friend? Do you have expectations for a friend? And if so, what are those expectations? All right, I'll say it again. Do you have expectations? Excuse me, for a friend, and if so, what are those expectations?
I
Anybody?
do.
Yeah, anybody can go.
I have expectations, and it's real simple. Just show up when I need you. Like it don't take much because it's not like I'm a needy person. So if I am opening my mouth to ask, then which I hardly ever do, right? Then show up.
Hmm, okay.
For me, I think the moment we cross over from that associate to friend line, I think the expectations develop. Um, And my main expectation goes back to something Dwayne said earlier was listening. Like if you can show that you can listen and actually care about me personally, about my desires, my dreams, my ideas, like what I want in life, the things that I'm interested in. When someone shows an interest in what I'm interested in, to me, that helps develop and establish that friendship. So my expectation is listening and communicating and actually caring, which includes what Shay said, being there, right? If you care, you're gonna be there. That's like a result of that. If you actually care about what I care about, then you'll be there for me when I need you.
Um, I think I'm gonna go. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here a little bit. Um, Expectation. I don't have any. Um, I just want you to basically. I just expect. Only if I do have an expectation is being who you are and the person you're supposed to be. I don't want somebody to come in and try to be something they ain't. You know what I'm saying? Just for my liking, whether you're male or female. So because I was always taught when you don't have expectations, you won't be disappointed. So that's why I said I don't have no expectations of anybody, whether you're male or female, in the friend space. I just want you to then, what I'm saying, I try to be a pretty good gauge of character. So I just peep certain things. I pay attention to everything. Very, very anal, very cerebral. And that comes from growing up in a military household. So paying attention to body language, when it comes to everything about that psychology, what I'm saying, how a person think, how a person move. I pay attention to everything. If they don't, we're out somewhere and you don't put yourself in harm's way or don't make, what I'm saying, blundered, what I'm saying, decisions and you think logically, then yeah, I was like, okay, I can hang around this person. I can be around this person. I can, what I'm saying, do X, Y, and Z. So me, I want to be different because I don't have expectations because I just want a person to be themselves. So because if I put these heightened expectations on you, and if you don't reach that or come close to that, now I'm disappointed. Now I look at you different or in other regards. So I don't understand why we have expectations, a whole lot of expectations in human beings, whether it's to an extent friendship or relationship wise.
But you actually do have an expectation. You said you expect for them to be themselves. So that's an expectation. You expecting them to be themselves.
Well, when it comes to that, that's all I would want from a person. But anything outside of that realm, outside of that box, I don't, because a person gonna do what they want to do regardless. They gonna try, or they gonna either be themselves, or they gonna try to be something else. So I see what you're saying, but anything outside of that, nah, I don't.
And I say I'm along the same lines. Like the expectation I have is for someone to be consistent. Like once I get to know them, I get to know them not based off of my own preconceived perception. It's based off what they give me. So I want to read what you are giving to me directly, and it's like you were saying, that's with body language, also with your words as well. So that's for that consistency. Like if and someone may mention about accountability, right? Like somebody who a friend that'll hold you accountable. So it's like that situation where it's like, man, I'm trying to lose weight, and the next thing you see him snacking on a foot long. Or eating a whole piece, and you're like, "Hey man, what's up? Like, I thought you were doing something different." And in that, like based upon their response to that, it's like then you could see like if they're just talking just to talk, or they're actually willing to take that criticism and be like, hey, you know what, you sure right. And they could notch that down as like, man, I appreciate that, like, because you're holding me accountable. Some I would then find it inconsistent if you say something but then your actions then veers off and you are persistent in going the opposite way in which you said that you did not want to go. So I do have expectations of like, hey, like don't, you could talk your dreams out loud, right? You could talk your dreams out loud, but then whenever you have certain set expectations for yourself, and I then try to help you in that regard, and you're inconsistent, that's where I'm like, you know what, I can't do much with that. So I guess I do have an expectation for people to be consistent because I have a expectation for myself to be consistent.
Well, I guess my expectations, just be
Hold,
honest.
hold on, real quick, Hank. I think Shay been trying to go. Are you good,
Oh,
Shay?
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead.
well, like I said, my expectation just for somebody to be honest and forthright. That's pretty much my expectation of a friend. So,
That's pretty simple. Shay, what you got?
I was going to say, so then is that expectation first set within yourself and before it's passed along to that friend, right? So are you having, I guess, that same standard for yourself? I guess it's for the panel, before that is applied to someone else.
oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I chime in on that. Yeah, and that's what I believe I was trying to mention is like uh, those same expectations as for consistency I have for myself. Because if somebody was like, "Hey, I thought you were trying to do," I'm like, you know what, man, you're right. I appreciate that. Right now, I would take that as for I'm human, so like I can be inconsistent. But it's like a true friend will then wind you back in, and even whenever it comes to your spouse, right? That's ultimate friend that you're around all the time. They'll keep it real with you. Hopefully, right? They won't hold back in the sense they'll do it respectfully and in love. And then in that, that's how I am going to then dish it out. It's not to hurt you. It's not to hurt you. And if anything, it's because I'm listening to what you're saying is why I'm saying what I'm saying. So as to that consistency, like I don't when they say talk is cheap, it's because you could talk all day long and it won't cost you a thing, but it will cost the person that's listening. And if they're actively listening, it will cost them because they spent a whole lot of time listening to you, and yet you are not even believing the things that you're saying, and they do. I hope that made sense.
And to add, for me, my expectation is authenticity, hands down. I feel like as in knowing myself, I am, to answer Shay's question, I am who I am regardless of where I am. At work, you get the same Shan. At home with my children, you get the same Shan. If you've all seen me before out and about, those who know me know you get the same Shan. Like it is the same. I try not to. It's too hard to present myself differently to different people. So I would just much rather give you who I am straight up and forward. And then that way you can make a choice about whether or not you want to move forward in some type of relationship with me or you want to move on about your business. At the end of the day, it's no sweat off my back because my hours in my day have already been taken. And then also to add to it, my expectations for my different friend groups is very different. So there are some people, like Shay said, that you have your friend groups where you know, oh, I can tell them this, I can tell them that. So I'm not going to expect certain things from certain people, because I've already vetted them. I know who they are. I know what they can handle. So I would never go to certain friends and expect something unusual for them. So at base level, I try to take the time to get to know who my friends are, and what value they present to my life, as well as what I can give to theirs. And then I don't have to go outside on some various limb and try to hold them accountable for something that I just know is not a part of their character or what they're capable of doing. So if you are your authentic self, I know who you are. That helps me assume what we can exchange in our relationship.
I just wanted to share this story because it happened this week. So I was on the phone and I was talking to a friend and I was like, hey, do you want to hang out this weekend? And they responded like, I don't know. And I said, okay, what about next weekend? And so then my son comes in the room and he's like, Mom, can you put the phone on mute really quick? And I was like, sure. So then I put it on mute. He's like, Mom, don't ask nobody if they want to hang out with you. He's like, if they want to hang out with you, they're going to ask you to hang out with them. And he was like, and if they don't, then you don't want to put up with that mess. This is what he said. So I'm looking at him and he's like, you don't want to put up with that mess. And then he said, because a lot of people always ask me when I'm going to have a sleepover, you know? And so I was like, okay, I was like, okay, well that definitely made sense, And so then he just had me thinking about that, for the rest of the day and even into the weekend, just like, it will be mutual. Essentially is what he was saying. Like, don't ask nobody if they want to hang out with you. If they want to hang out with you, they're going to ask you and you won't have to put up with that. And then he said, and they should want to hang out with you because you're a nice lady. And I said, well, thank you, baby. And so at the end, I later talked to him and I said, oh, Vinny, thank you for that, for what you told me earlier. He was like, did it help? I was like, yeah. But that reminded me of how friendship should be mutually. Like my 10-year-old son is literally having this conversation. I'm like, you are too smart, kid. Like for you to just hear that and like, okay, let me remind you, don't keep asking people if they want to hang out. They know if they want to hang out or not. So
Yeah, but how would you ever know if you don't ask?
that's true.
I mean, I understood why he said what he said, but
so I think where he's
what
getting
if your
at, and
friend took that
yes, you'll
same approach?
ask. Go ahead.
I'm saying, what if your friend took that same approach and nobody ever asked each other, so we'll never know. You know what I'm saying? So
No, I think there is a difference between asking initially and then asking again, right? So that's where that listening comes into play, right? So I asked initially and then it's already put on the table. So he's like, you don't have to ask again if you already asked, right? And so there will be an ask, but does there have to be an additional ask? Maybe not if you've already put it on the table. So that's the way I took it.
But when it comes to it, like I think I see where you come from, but at the same time, on the flip side, that's why I say like it's just like he was saying when it comes to things like that, we're gonna be up here. If that's the case, we're gonna be playing chicken for the rest of our lives. It's like you gonna like let me see if he or she gonna ask first or this and that. I basically only go by the mutual interest. Like when like if I ain't gotta hit you up first all the time, then I hit you up like, hey, y'all wanna hang out this and that date or vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you always the one asking, now that might be something else, but you know what I'm saying? I only give the certain things type of energy it gives me. You know what I'm saying? It's all about reciprocation. And you know what I'm saying? Not just in friendship or not just in relationship, but friendships too. You know, if you always going out paying stuff for you, but your homegirl or homeboy ain't never did that for you, then you might want to reevaluate circle around you. Always got to be able to, you know what I'm saying, offer each other and, you know what I'm saying, because everybody go through something. but that has to be voiced. It's all about communication, effective communication, not just for a relationship, but in friendships too, because you don't want to take things out of context, start assuming certain things. But that's just my opinion on that.
But I think this is where it's important to know who your friends are. Because I know I have a certain friend group. I'm only going to see them once a quarter. We're not going to get together outside of once a quarter. Don't ask me. Don't. We're not going to even make it possible. I will see you once a quarter. And it's because they have lives and husbands and children. At the time, I had husbands and children, and everybody has involved. We have teenagers. We got football, band, dance. It's just we will see each other once a quarter. Outside of that, we will text each other to death because that's who it is. But when we get together in that at that every 3 months, it's on and popping. We share, we cry, we have a whole weekend to do. And then we'll catch up in a couple of weeks. Where I have other friends where it's I can hang with you, we can rock every other weekend. And I know that. And so we can have that mutual exchange. So I think it's about knowing who your friends are and the frequency, the type of relationship that you have built with them. And it will change. It may change. When our kids go off, we may see each other often, but right now that's not where our relationship is.
So
Torcia, what you got? Hold on, real quick. Dr. Torcia, I think she wanted to say something.
I was just trying to slide in there. Once a quarter is actually pretty good because I don't get to see my friends that often.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's really. Why not?
Because of what she just said, we have lives. We're in different cities. We're in different locations, and it's just the way life is set up. We just don't see each other. Like we text each other to death, like she said.
Yeah.
But as far as actually getting together and doing something, we may do one girl's trip a year where we connect and get together, and we might not see each other to a whole nother year unless something happens that brings us back together. So, and once a quarter is actually really good.
Uncle Stepdaddy, it works out. I promise you. But I'm just talking about one friend group. So I know for sure that I'm going to see that friend group once a quarter. Now, if I'm trying to hit up every other weekend, I don't call them. I call the other friend because she down. Girl, I'll be ready in 15 minutes. Where we going? Bet. The kids are with their daddy. Let's go. Come, let's go. So you just have to know who your friend groups are. I cannot call once a quarter friends to go out over the weekend. It's gonna take 3 days to set up, and I don't have time for that. I'm ready to go now. So I'm gonna call my right now friends, and the once a quarter friends. I'll see you in 3 months. Holla at your girl.
What you got on it, Unc? Like, go ahead and say what you got to say, bro.
I would say this, man, because that's funny. Maybe it's different. I don't know, fellas. Is it different for us than it is for the lady folk, women folk?
Well, first, state what you got to say, and then we can say we're gonna get on the bandwagon.
I look at it like I think with that right there, if everybody got a group of people like this, sound like some folks been demoted. Sound like them ain't really your friend, they're associate. Because it's like this. You everybody has a family, true. Everybody got kids, true. But people make time for who and what they want. Point blank, period. Now, if you got folks out here you just wanna see once a year, don't sound like them your friend. Them sound like associates.
No, that's 4 times a year.
Oh,
and the quarter is every 3 months.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
4 times in a year.
I'm having a moment in the GD section
it's
right
okay.
now.
But I did say one.
That's why I'm a moderator.
Four times a year. I guess. But then you got the ones that you want to see every That's why I say maybe I'm a little. I ain't trying to sound too biased, but it's just like if I consider them my friends, like ain't nothing wrong with if we doing okay for ourselves, and you know what I'm saying. I know when it comes to, I see a lot of women on social media going on girl trips and stuff. A lot of women, especially hanging out.
Here we go.
No, I'm just saying, like, because it's like this, and I'm not trying to dampen the mood or nothing, ladies. Like, it's a lot going on. We basically just coming out of this pandemic and everything. Well, I seen a lot of people I know personally that went into it and came out they didn't come out with the same people they knew because of things happening. Life is short. And if we had the opportunity to see each other on a regular basis, gotta take that. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of women doing a lot of traveling. Women go on girl trips, which I don't feel like nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? If you want to go do something, it ain't nothing but going to Lake Travis or going to Dallas Fort Worth or going to the boat down there in Louisiana or Vegas or something. Cause Vegas ain't nothing but $100 something, $200 round trip. I know folk making it. So and then you know what I'm saying, with all of that, I think that it's a little different for us when it comes to guys. Guys gonna get together, we're gonna watch sports, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and women do they gospel and they talking. So with that, I think when it comes to those type of people, I don't think they really friend like that. I think a lot. Then again, I'm finna go dive a little deeper. Humble
Please
dad.
do.
I think folks throw that F word around way too loosely, bro.
You talking about the F word?
Especially, I don't, saying, that's why I say it's only certain people I consider that. You know what I'm saying? Most of the, like me living in Houston, it ain't but a handful of folks I hang with. And all them folks I hang with, I've been hanging with the same people since I was a kid. I've been knowing these folks since I was a kid. I don't call everybody my friends. Just like we were talking about earlier about with the children, I think a lot of us grown folk do the same thing. We throw that F word around way too low. Like we do love, hate, narcissist, and all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Just and come for the and this one I'm gonna come a little bit for the ladies. A lot of times women will go to work, they'll go out in the bar, get these little bars and things like that, and meet these women and just call, no, that's my friend right there. No, she ain't your friend either. You know what I'm saying? If you gotta put people in certain category, I don't think they're your friend. But to each his own. I'm not attacking nobody, it's just to each his own. Like that's an associate. If I ain't got to be around you or hang around you a lot, you an associate. Now if we every time I go do something or something shake off and all of us hang together, them friends. But that's
Lord
just my
have
opinion.
mercy. We understand, but these people that I'm talking about, we've been together a decade. We're a decade deep, a decade plus in this, and so we don't have to see each other every day. And that's probably the same with Dr. Tarsia. We talking about we had babies together, we got married together, so we're just in different spaces. And so yes, and if I had an emergency right now, if I called, they would be here, hands down. But no, we don't have to physically be in each other's faces every every weekend.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
have families and husbands, and if their husbands, I'm single now, so they can't be going with me out to eat every weekend. Their husbands will be looking
What that mean?
crazy.
What that mean? Let them look at them crazy. Them your home good and your friend.
I
I
have to
know I can't say
respect
what I
that.
want
I
to
have
on
to
here, but F
respect their
them.
families. I have to respect that. So I have
Man.
single friends who I have been rolling with some years now, and we can go hang out, and it's perfectly fine.
And I'm willing to bet you that them same women you talking about with their husband, I bet they gonna hang out with their homeboy when they want to. I'm willing to bet they do. So forget all
That
that.
ain't got
And
nothing to
then,
do with me.
I, man, I forget all that. That my friend. We gonna hang out. Whether you married or not, we hanging out. Whether I'm married or not, we gonna hang. Because mostly everybody on here got kids, and a lot of us got just like with me. I think I overheard one of y'all say you got teenagers, so you don't need no babysitter. They babysit themselves.
They do
You can go
that.
hang out and do what you want. So, child.
Dr.
This is
Tarsia,
why
what
his
you got
name is
on it?
Uncle Stepdaddy.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
See that you,
Yeah.
you got it. There it is.
Dr. Tarsia, what you got? And then we'll go to Dwayne.
I was just gonna add on to what Shan was saying. Yes, these are friends who I might see once or twice a year. We've been friends 20 plus years since middle school for some, high school for the others. And we don't have to see each other all the time. Now we do talk frequently, but we don't see each other all the time. Again, it's different situations, different scenarios. We in different cities or whatnot, but we make time to see each other when we got time, So, but they are friends, definitely not associates. And like Shan said, if I was to call and say I needed them, they would get here.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sitting here like I heard associate a couple of times, and I was thinking also as for acquaintance. So there's acquaintances, associates, and then friends, and like I think like you could have that friendship with somebody that y'all ain't talked in months, and y'all could just pick right back up and have an extended conversation, right? And then it can go and then happen again. I see those, but my daughter's about to be 17, and I noticed something like she'll have she'll have these phone conversations with her friend. She'll get home from school, probably seen a friend to get home from school, right on the phone, talking to that friend. Hey, what you gonna wear? What you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And they'll plan all these things out. And I'm like, that's a friendship. Like those are those friendships that are building up. And I remember having those friends who are still my friends today doing the same thing, like those similar things. And we could talk about, how we used to walk to each other's houses throwing the football. One run, the next one throw it, and then the other one run, and so on and so forth. But then, like, I also realize now, like, as for that circle, like, I wasn't kidding. Like, I borderline pride myself on not having too many friends because I I the inconsistency of people, including myself, sometimes, right? So in that, it's like I just my circle has to be consistent, and I also then will have to say this: I'm sometimes at fault because I realize that after I have somebody call me or reach out to me like 3 times and I have not reached out to them, I call myself suspect as a friend. And then I have to wonder why. And I think like kids do have certain things to do with it. Relationship, marriage, those things do have certain things to play in it. But I do find it interesting. But I do have friends, like close friends. I'll say that I'll say there's a distinctive difference for me, where there's close friends where I could call multiple times per week, and we can have conversations. We can bounce things off of each other, and it doesn't have to be in person, like where we're hanging out, right? I just say it like as we're picking up the phone and reaching out, and I do find value in that because there's some times where it's like I think Mr. Hink was saying it earlier, right? Like with a friend, like you'll share certain things with them to get their perspective, even about like your relationship, and having that conversation where you can have someone give you feedback. Like I have a friend that I had back in junior high, and me and my wife will go out with him and his wife, and shoot, we'll celebrate engagements or anniversaries together. So whenever he has certain things going on, he'll be like, "Hey man, hey, tell me if I'm tripping, man. You tripping, you right?" Or like, "No, you got that one straight." So I think there are um, certain extents to it. There are close friends, there are acquaintances, and there are associates, and then there's those friends is where you touch bases every so often, and I think there's value in each of those. So I don't discount them, but then also then know that I have ran into situations where I know that I'm the one who is straggling behind as they're going off into doing something else, or vice versa. They're straggling behind as my life is going in a different direction.
What you got on the Heat?
Well, it's crazy because I don't know. We're talking about these little things that they like to do. I don't know about going out and hanging out with single friends. Not when I was married. I tried to make sure I didn't do that because not because I was worried about temptation, but sometimes the mindset when you see single friends out there doing what they doing, you don't want to be that left on the sideline at the bar, like, man, they out there having a good time dancing with the ladies, enjoying the mingling, talking. You want to do it too, because you feel left out if you don't. You know what I'm saying? So you don't want to do that. But I had to learn fast. I said, man, look, and it was my friend said it. I said, man, look here, I'm gonna advise you to not do things like if you're gonna go out, even if it's just the fellas hanging out, at a spot, make sure they all married or engaged or whatever the case may be. Because if you put yourself in that situation, you're gonna think like them. You're gonna try to move like them, even though that's not your situation at the time. So Yeah.
That's good. Is somebody gonna say something? No,
Yeah,
everybody.
I was actually going to say that. No, that's a good point because now that most of the people that I call my close friends, they're married. They're in a similar segment of life that I'm in. So I do notice that as well because you can't be on a boat and everybody else fishing and drinking, and then you over there not throwing your line in the water. So I see what you're saying on that.
What an analogy, bro. Fishing and drinking and throwing your. I got you, Uncle Stepdaddy. What you about to say? In your pink satin sheets. Is that a pink satin sheet?
Hey man, y'all gotta cut that out. Look here.
No, it's not a y'all. You can just address me. You know what I'm saying? You've
What
been
no.
laying on this pink satin sheet. You know what I'm saying?
See, cut
Very
that out, man.
comfortable. You know what I'm
Cut
saying?
that out, man. But no, I'm gonna
Listen, hold on,
respond.
hold on. How you gonna ask me to cut it out when you actually got it on camera? Like
Oh
you the
yeah,
one
it's
that's
nice.
laying on the satin pillow.
Yeah, well, yeah. It's
Go
a
ahead.
little comfortable. Back
Go
started hurting a little bit.
ahead. Go
But
ahead.
what's this fella Hink and what's your name? Dwayne. Yeah, Dwayne. Man, I respect y'all, brother. Man, I'm gonna say this, man. I'm gonna disagree with y'all a little bit when it comes to that because I feel like everybody has their own mind. You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the problem with a married man hanging out with single people? You got your own mind. You know what I'm saying? You know what's right and what's wrong. You know what you can and can't do. You know what I'm saying? And you know your homeboys over here doing it. Hey, let them do that. You know what I'm saying? Then if you got an old lady or whatever like that, you already supposed to know. She already supposed to know what she had. She married you. So I don't. Me personally, and I know everybody don't probably think like this, but I feel like if I was married, I don't mind my wife hanging out with her single friend because those were her friends before me, and vice versa. Like these people were here before you. Now, am I going to put them over you? No, but I'm just not going to stop hanging out with them because of my status, my relationship status. You know what I'm saying? I want you to be able to get to a point where you can trust me to make sound decisions. So I think we need to throw this out about with us, whoever, if I'm married, I'm hanging around my cousins or friends and they're single. That's their activities. That's their demeanor. You know what I'm saying? I know not to throw my bait out there in the water because shoot, I got a big prize fish back at home. So
So,
why you know what I'm saying? Why would I do that? Why would I even jeopardize what I have? You know what I'm
so
saying?
let
I
me
know
ask
how
you
to go out
this.
and conduct myself. That's all I'm
Uncle,
saying. Y'all grown
Uncle,
brother. Y'all go ahead.
Uncle Stepdad, let me ask you this.
Go ahead, bro.
So your ass is obese, and you talking about losing weight, but yet you going to the buffet.
Yep.
Really?
I'm going to
Yep.
eat salad. I'm going there to give me some
Are you
salad
not? That's a
with some
goddamn lie.
croutons and
That's a
things like that.
goddamn lie. You
Hey,
gonna see that? You gonna see that roast beef at that them ribs at the Golden Corral, that fried chicken and that fish.
but peep this out though. Peep this. I get what you're saying. I get the great analogy, but I got a great segue though. But the thing about that is, I like a challenge. I want to challenge myself because I know mentally I'm not going to put myself in that predicament. I'm gonna go to that buffet and challenge myself. I'm like, you know what? I see these tasty delectables around here, but I'm finna go right
Yeah,
over there where that salad is.
I hear
I
you.
want all this temptation around me, but
Hey,
I'm gonna
I
go
hear
right
you.
there where that salad is.
Until you
Hallelujah.
just until you justify why you went over with the baked chicken, then close to the fried chicken, and then the
Over
and then
there
the
with
fish.
all the fried chicken there, but then you know what? I'm finna get this baked chicken right here because it's
Yeah.
good for me. I ain't
So,
finna jeopardize my health eating that swine.
I,
I'm finna go
so,
right here with this baked chicken here.
I'll put it like this. One of the most disgusting things for me as a man, right, is watching another man lust over a woman. I don't know if y'all ever saw that or seen that, but that's one of and when they freely talk about it, right? So being in the presence of that, it's not that I'm tempted in that direction. It's just like I'm too. There's too much of me being like, nah, yeah, nah, that ain't my thing. Like it literally gets to where it's like that's not my thing, right? That's not my thing. So it's like if football ain't your game, how often will you have to go to the games with your fellas and all that until you be like, no, that's they invite you and you're like, no, I'm cool. And then they know not to ask you because what's their answer gonna be? Nah, I'm cool. So for me, it's I don't like hanging out with single friends. It's like they have it's a different perspective, or they're at a different state of mind. And I'm not saying like never, but it's just like I, that's just what I've noticed as for where I'm at in life. A lot of my friends are married. A lot of my friends are raising kids, and we're doing it together. We're living life together, and it's like, man, I remember going to Reggae Fest with my brother and his friends, and I'm like, man, y'all disgusting, man. Like, I'm like, come on, man, y'all ain't gotta talk about her like that, man. Come on, put your tongue back in your mouth, and because I'm at a different space, so that's where I'm coming from with it.
They had their tongue out their mouth, bro.
I mean, you know what I'm saying, like literally, like it's like drooling, neck turning, all that. And I'm
I
like,
got
man, chill out.
you. This is Uncle Stepdaddy saying,
This
listen,
is
if he's
different for
drooling,
women.
then the married man should be okay. That's what he's saying. Go ahead, Shin. Then
I
we'll
think
go to
it's
you,
different
Dr.
for
Garcia.
women. I hang out with married women. When I hang out with my married friends, I'm there so we can catch up and get to, we can talk. So all I can is just, that's not my concern. We have come so that we can hang out and chill, but women are not always hanging out in bars either.
Women and
Dwayne,
guys
we
are
don't,
different.
I didn't say that not women, there are women. Hey, I have my days where I'm sitting at the bar and I'm watching and I'm peeping and I'm talking. But then there are moments where I'm hanging out with my friend. I'm genuinely just wanting to go and we're checking on each other. Like, forget all of that. How have you been doing? What's been going on with you? And we can
But y'all could have
postpone
did
all
that
of
on the
the
phone.
distractions. But it's
Y'all
better
could,
to do it in person.
but well, y'all could have did it at each other's house. Why do you have to go to the bar?
We're not at a bar. We at a restaurant. We
Oh,
chilling.
I thought you said a bar. I'm sorry.
She did say
If
a
I'm
bar.
going
I
to
mean,
a bar, it's
I've done it
me
at a
going to a
bar.
bar to watch the candy pass by. But if I'm with my married friends, we just at a restaurant chilling. I don't need to pay attention to what's going on around me.
Yeah,
Uncle
but
Stepdad, we're gonna put you out for bad
yeah,
behavior
but
in this
I'm
country.
just saying I'm just saying like guys are different. Like if you out there actively trying, and I'm sorry to use this analogy, but whenever you actively trying to catch fish, you guys, it's different. It's different. So like I'm pretty sure like whenever, as for ladies, like whenever y'all were younger and y'all were actively trying to find a man, like it was a different approach. So like now it's just all right. I got mine. Like I'm good. You like it? You at the carnival, and you got your big old teddy bear, and hey, you good. You're not trying to play no games. You ain't trying to win no more prizes. You got yours, and you set. You're happy. But I think like whenever you're around other people that are actively trying to hunt or actively trying to acquire, then it's to me it's like a different approach, like than women at that juncture. Maybe I don't. I'm not a woman.
Go ahead, Dr. Garcia.
I was just thinking as Dwayne was talking, I had a question for him. He was talking about, like how he felt it was disgusting how men, lust over women. And I was wondering, because I think I heard you mention you had a daughter earlier. Did you say you had a daughter?
Yep.
And I was wondering,
Two of
do
them.
you think having a daughter has played a significant role in how you feel about that?
Oh, absolutely. Because I was that dog. I was that dog. Like, and I'm pretty sure most of the guys can attest. So, like now, me personally, I do look at it like, no, don't, no. Keep your eyes in your head. Like, and it's just now that I have a wife, now that I have little girls, it's like, no. No, but I knew where my heart was at that time. And it's like, again, like I said, you trying to swing at anything. A girl sneeze on you. Oh, she like me. So I'm sorry to say, but it's like I it's easy for guys to get the wrong impression, or for me anyway. It's like That's how I looked at it. Young me, like, nah, man. I was like, I'd give myself a sit down and be like, man, you are tripping. Just saying.
Well, look, you better meet Wayne, because I still lust over him, and I got a 26-year-old daughter, so I mean, there's nothing I can do. I love the ladies, you know.
Okay, so
So like I said, that's that analogy I gave. I could go to that buffet and talk about I'm not gonna eat none of that fried chicken. I'm a chicken eater. I'm from Kentucky, the South, so I love some chicken. So I could go to that buffet with Uncle Stepdaddy talk about I'm just gonna eat salad. That ain't gonna work for me.
So and that's keeping it real. That's keeping it real. So to your question, I didn't say Miss Hank added to that, because like I'm still a guy, right? But then as for my perspective in it, it's changed, and like the Bible says to hold those thoughts captive. So in order to hold those thoughts captive, and I just had this conversation with my daughter. It's like, hey, and it was along the same line as the buffet. It's like, if you on a diet or you fasting, are you going to go to the buffet? Are you going to go walk through a bistro? Are you going to go stroll through a bakery? Because all those centuries are going to be kicking off, right? And it's like, as for guys are visual. So it's like, we see it, we think it, and all those thoughts will then, if you don't hold them captive, they will manifest themselves into real life activities. So it's better for me to, like Ms. Nick was saying, is to abstain and stay away from those, because I have to actively hold those thoughts captive as a man, and it's tough. So why would I actively tempt myself? There's the devil's already doing it. How about that? You'll find a way to dangle that something in front of you. And I'll say this. Whenever I was younger, I remember working with this gentleman. His name was Andre Cornelius, and he was married. And we were at two different segments of our lives. And I remember saying, hey, man, why don't you go out to the club and all this? He was a drummer at his church and all that. I'm like, why don't you go out to the club and all that? And he's like, man, why would I do that? Why would I go out there and mess with ground beef when I got steak at home? And I'm telling you, this was probably 20 years ago he said that to me. And I'm like, that was so real. Why would I go out there and mess with ground beef when I got steak at home? And we're at two segments. At that time, I was like, okay, all right, cool. But now I could look back and reflect on it. That was a married man that loved his wife and his kids. So he was actively showing that to me in the way that he talked and the way that he behaved.
That's what's up. Way to get off topic, individuals. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate y'all not staying on topic. But it was a really good dialogue, though. You know what I'm saying? Very good dialogue, to be honest with you. That's why I just let y'all roll, you know what I'm saying? Because it was really good. And because I wanted to kind of segue to, kind of talking about conflict resolution. That's why I was talking about friendships and talking about how do you know when they become a friend. And so these are kind of hopefully kind of tying things together. So I wanted to ask the panel, has a friend let you down? Has a friend let you down? Or how? That's the best way to put it. How has a friend let you down? How has a friend let you down? That's on anybody.
Well, I know for me, I guess let me down. No, not really. Well, look, man, it's kind of hard to say. Well, when me and my ex-wife got divorced, because I had a relationship with my friend, and she began to develop a relationship with his wife, and now they're best friends. And so, they hang out more than, and still have their little get-together, couple get-togethers. Of course, I don't get invited, and which I'm okay with that. And I understand why, because she's inviting my ex-wife and her guy friend. So, what I look like, I'm being there too. It'd be kind of awkward. So I was a little disappointed, but the thing about it, he did explain it to me, and he did let me know that any event that he's going to put together, or he's hosting, or decided going to have, I will definitely be invited. And any event that she has, that she's going to put together our host or whatever the case may be. More like I won't be invited. And I understood that. And I can respect that because of the situation. So I don't know if he really let me down. No, he didn't really let me down, but it's kind of hard to swallow. It kind of hurt a little bit. But I had to understand, I had to respect that. So
I've had friends let me down. Just lying, stupid stuff. There's no point in lying to people who you genuinely call friends or who I thought was a genuine friend. And then in people leading into friendship, um, I have had to cut people off because I feel like I'm being used. Um, I am very passionate about just being there for people in general. And so when I feel like I am the only one who is giving in a friendship or in a relationship, because they're relationships, whether they're associates or not, it's still a form of relationship, and things are not being reciprocated, then unfortunately, where I thought we could build something more long term, um, it just didn't work out. And so you just have to cut people off and move on.
I've definitely had, I can recall like two friends to let me down. Um, both, well, one I'll say I thought we were definitely better friends than what she let out to be, and it was quite the shocker when I found out that we wasn't. But I think you hear the saying a lot of times that friends can't do business together. And I do denounce that because I do business with a lot of my friends and we get money together. But in this particular incident, I tried that. And this was an early on incident, but where we did business together. And as a result of that, it ended our friendship because you know how when you don't do something right or whatever, then somebody really tells you how they feel about you. So it was one of those things where she went in on me, like, you this, you that, you this, right? And I was so shocked and so hurt. But what I will say is that set the foundation for me on um, how I wanted to treat my team and my employees to this day. Because I reflect on that a whole lot because it was an incident where I was giving it my all, but it wasn't received that way. And so you wanted to downplay me like my skills wasn't valuable or being added to the business as a result of. But it did set the foundation for how I treat my team and the level of understanding that I have for my team. Although her and I are no longer friends, and I have no remorse about that at all. Um, and I'm happy that we aren't, because after you realize what somebody really feel about you, you don't want anything to do with them. So I will say that situation, yeah, she did let me down because I thought we were friends. It was somebody that I did look up to as a friend, but in the end, I found out that we wasn't as friends as I thought we were.
Don't all speak at once. What you got, Dr. Torcia? How has a friend let you down?
Mm, I can say I've had not so close friends who've let me down, and I've had close friends who we've let each other down. Let me just say that. I can't just pinpoint and say they've let me down, but I've there's been times where I've let them down too. Um, and I think when it comes to being let down, you really have to evaluate the friendship and determine, is it something that's worth fighting for? It's kind of like with the relationship, right? Is it something worth fighting for, meaning going through what you have to go through to resolve the issues? Or is it something not worth fighting for? Like what Shay just said, she's no longer friends with someone and she has no remorse about it. So I've had those types of issues too. So, without going into detail, I could just say, I have close friends who we've let each other down, and I have friends we weren't as close with. I realized we weren't as close, and Those are the friendships, past friendships that I decided, it's not worth fighting for, and we're no longer friends either.
Uncle Stepdaddy, what you got?
Um, how has a friend let me down?
Bro, you've been knowing this question since everybody else went. Why you
Oh yeah, I
rereading
know.
the question?
Nah, I'm trying to figure out because like a
What
lot
you
of this
been
stuff.
doing on the satin sheets this whole time, bro?
Hey, no, like this a friend let me down. It was like in my younger, like probably in my late teens, early 20s, and anytime when it come to men, only time they have problems, when especially with young men, is always about some money or a woman. So with this situation, it was a woman. Like me personally, I never cared about anybody that saying. If somebody talked to somebody that I used to try to talk to or whatever like that, it never bothered me. Just as long as you didn't just drag my name in the mud or something like that. So at this one point, it was a young lady I had conversated with. It was long, like right after I got out of school, and I guess they was at a club or some little get together, and drinks was involved. And just so happened my name came up. He let some slip, and that was like the only time I felt like I'm like, come on, bro, you gotta be smarter than that. When saying, I know when you look in your system, you get kind of, saying this and that, and then you could say something you didn't know you said, and then when it get back to me, I'm like, bro, don't nobody know that but me, you, and such and such. Like, why did you even say, man? I ain't know I said that because we were drinking and this and that, and that's the only time I can really recall any time of somebody I considered a friend, saying let me down in that aspect. Because like I got secrets when it comes to, well, I ain't gonna say secrets, but I got things that people out in my circle or whatever then told me I'm taking to my grave. Like it ain't gonna never come out. I don't care how mad we get at each other or whatever, what have you. Nothing's gonna ever spill over to social media or anything. Like that's something that's a vow, saying, a pact we built. Like there'll never any problem we got, them group texts gonna get nasty. It get vulgar in there. It like a R-rated movie in there, but it'll never spill over to social media. And I think that's where when it comes to friends, especially from the male and the female perspective, I think that's where that difference is between us. Because if now in these days, especially on social media and Twitter, like people will let you know that they own what they feel about you and this and that. Because my grandma always used to tell me, man, when a person get mad at you, find out how they really feel about you. So that's something I always learn. And the thing about it, like I want to see in tough time when you're angry, I want to, saying I really want to see this, and that. So therefore, but that's the only time I can think of because after that, like I told you earlier, I don't really to an extent have expectations, and so I won't be disappointed. So, but that was the only time, like in my late teens, early something like right after I got out of school.
That's a bit. I know. I don't know if anybody else has to go, but I want to kind of wrap it up. I want to get to the topic at hand, right? And so all of these things kind of coincide with each other. And the reason why I asked is because I had a situation this past week where I had some friends that I uh, didn't respond to very well, and and as a result, I'm now having to kind of go back and whether it's repent or ask for forgiveness or reconcile the scenario or the situation. And those people that know me know that I don't really, I don't never think I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? Right. However, listen, I don't need y'all shaking your head like that. Be careful. Okay. And so, but what I do know is that for me, I try to seek counsel whenever there's a situation that I may have reacted emotionally about, and if I'm wrong, then I'm definitely going to say, I was wrong. And so in this scenario, I was wrong, right? And so it came to my mind like, what should be the topic of discussion? Well, why not have a discussion about a real life situation that I'm encountering, and how can I make this something that my kids can learn from, right? And so, yes, this is about fathers, but at the same time, I wanted it to open it I wanted to open it up for also mothers and individual and fathers to talk about how would you teach your child conflict resolution, because more than often they're going to be resolving situations with their friends. And then you always talked about that kids don't necessarily know who's a friend, right? And then we said, okay, the expectation of a friend, right? And so, and stepdad said, I don't have an expectation, but then somebody else said, I do have an expectation. So, how would you teach your kid, your children, how to resolve conflict? How would you teach your kids how to resolve conflict?
I'll go because we got to keep the lines moving, right? This is a hard question though, Uncle Dad. Like honestly, I'm a teacher, or I was. I work with children, and honestly, I think to get them to stop, take a break, and then review the situation has been one of the best things that I could do in helping kids understand. And then a lot of times they overthink or they make a mountain out of a molehill. So, whatever their thought process was and what they heard, what they saw, wasn't necessarily what is actually happening. It's almost like they're in this alternate world and they think that these things are happening, especially smaller, younger children, even our teenagers, just because their brains have not fully developed. And so a lot of times having them take a step back, listening to the other person, what the other person heard, what they saw, what they believed to be true, and then having the other person to kind of go through that same process will allow them to see that a lot of the times what you all were fighting over really wasn't what was happening. Like you are living in some delusion in your own brain that is outside of what reality actually is. And then from that point, we can talk about how we need to proceed and move forward. Um, we see a lot of girl on girl fights and all this other stuff, just because they have ears and people speaking to them separately. So with young females, when they're into conflict and in conflict resolution, a break, and I mean a good, take a week, talk to a parent, and you will find out that you're eventually, there's always somebody in the background with young girls where there is somebody talking in your ear. So a lot of times just removing people from your space in your circle, you know, if these are and having these conversations about what a friend really is and what a friend really looks like. Why do you consider this person a friend? Do you think you should continue with this friendship if this person is treating you this way? And then allowing them to ultimately make that decision has kind of been the best solution that I found with working with children in general.
Well, what do you do for that person that voice you're talking about is the mother?
Oh,
Because you got some crazy
you can't
mothers out
tell
there
kids.
that
Yeah, you can.
that will put a battery in their daughter's back. I just seen it. Like I said, I was a substitute teacher
Um,
on the elementary level for a while, but then I kind of dabbed into the middle school. Uh, but I had situations like that where it's the mother. You see why these girls was acting the way they was acting, because when the mother came up there to try to talk about the situation, she was she was on 100 ready to go right then and there. She was ready to fight the little girl that she got into an altercation with. So
As far as my own children, I make sure that I take the time to get to know all of the mothers in their specific circles. When I'm dealing with parents at a school, if I had a parent come up to me and that was the situation that happened, the next day I would talk to the other little child and say, baby, just leave her alone. It's not even worth it. I don't need to go into the details about her mother because we don't need to put people's business in the street. But I would honestly say this is probably not a relationship that you want to pursue.
Dr.
And just
Tarcia,
leave
what
it
you
at
got? Uh,
When it comes to me teaching my own children about conflict resolution, one of the things that we push in our household is always praying about situations. So I'm going to teach them to, in that moment when they're taking a break, to pray about the situation. And then I think one of the most important things with conflict resolution is that you go directly to that person and talk to that person and tell them whether it's you didn't like how they did something or whatever the conflict is. I think that it's important that you go directly to the source instead of talking to all your little friends about it. Like, so I'm going to teach my kids to go directly to that source and talk to them about it. To try to resolve it that way, and then if it can't be resolved, then that's when you involve somebody of authority, somebody that's older to help with the conflict resolution. But definitely, and I think that's something we get away from is we a lot of times we don't go directly to the source. We develop all these different stories in our head, as Shan was saying. And so those are two important things that I'm going to teach my kids about conflict resolution.
That's really good. Well, Dr. Tarsia is going to have to go. I really appreciate you being here.
Thank you
You know
for
what I'm saying?
having me.
Before you go, let people know where they can find you at, though.
You can find me on Instagram at Dr. Period T Hubert, and you can find me on Facebook at Tarsia Hubert. I'm on LinkedIn too and Twitter, but I'm not as active on those. But Instagram, Facebook, I'm extremely active on. So thank you all for having me, and it was a pleasure listening to you all and your perspectives.
For sure.
You
Until
as
next
well.
time.
Take care.
I know we're talking about kids, but when we talk about kids and conflict resolution, they're not going to negotiate. We're thinking like they're adults. They're not negotiating. Their conflict resolution is to for violence, a heated argument. It's not like it's a civil discourse. This is not what they're going straight to that. That maybe at home with your your brothers and sisters, you might be doing that, maybe. But for the most part, they're going straight to heated discourse and then ready to throw hands.
But you have
So
to talk to them like they're adults, right? So one thing that have always taken into my classroom, and now I'm a middle school teacher. I was a middle school teacher, but I have been in elementaries for the last 4 years. And one thing that I even talk to my elementary students about now is I don't teach children. I teach young adults. So you are a child for this long. You have to be an adult for the rest of your life. So the lessons that we're doing here is I'm not teaching you how to be a kid. That you're going to do that without me having to teach you how to do that. I am teaching you how to be a productive citizen and an adult. You need that lesson now so by the time you get there, you can succeed. So I'm not going to talk to you like a baby. We're not doing all of that. Not cut that out. I don't want to hear it. I have told kindergarten, I will not talk to you until you stop. And that's at kindergarten. I don't want to hear it. When you're done, I'm going to stand here. When you are done, then we can have a conversation. Outside of that, I don't want to hear it. And I will walk away. Good
yeah,
luck.
but
And some people find that harsh. But again, I am going to treat you like an adult. I have to talk to you in that manner because we don't have very long for you to pick up the skills that you need for adulthood to take you into the rest of your life. And so if I baby you, if I treat you, you're never going to learn the skills that you need to be productive moving forward.
yeah, but you can
So,
do that on a middle school level. You can't do that on an elementary.
oh, I
You
dare,
I
I beg to
disagree.
differ.
you
I
can't
beg
talk
to
to a,
differ.
Yes, you can.
elementary level kid like
You
an
can.
adult.
I'm
I,
telling you, you can.
One at
Well,
a time.
I
Yeah.
want to give my example. I had so my son, he goes to the basketball court every day. He enjoys it. He loves it. And so there's I don't necessarily go out there with him, like just be out there. Sometimes I'll just sit in the car. Sometimes we'll play together, whatever. But this particular incident, I was sitting in the car and I noticed that he was getting into it with another boy on the basketball court. Now my son, he don't play those type of games, but he'll handle himself because his dad has taught him how to, right? So I couldn't really determine what was going on, but I did just sit back there, sit in the car. I didn't get out because I wanted to see what he was going to do and how he was going to handle himself. And so later on, when he got back in the car and we were leaving, I was like, "Oh, what was going on?" He was like, "Man, dude was trying to fight me." I was like, "Why he was trying to fight you?" He like, "Cause he got mad because I was crossing him over on the court or whatever." And I was just like, and he was like, "Come on." The guy was telling him basically, "Let's go behind here so we can fight." He was like, "I'm not about to fight you over a basketball game. My son is 10. Okay." He's like, "Over a basketball game? You better get your," and then he just started ranking on the dude, like scoring on him. Like, "You better get your butt on somewhere. Like, I ain't finna fight you over no basketball game. Like, going on with that, whatever." And they didn't fight. That was his own conflict resolution. I didn't have to intervene. He was able to handle that himself at 10 to know, I'm not about to fight you over no basketball game, because if I do fight you, I might hurt you, and I ain't finna hurt you over no basketball game because it's real stupid. So I think that if you continue, like Shantiri said, you keep it in mind that you're raising adults, and you give them those tools early so that they have it in their toolbox, and they'll be able to pull it out their toolbox at the given situation. So we teach our son to address the situation head on, like Dr. Tarshia said. Listen, take accountability, and then if from there, if it doesn't work out well, then you seek counsel. So that's kind of what we teach him in terms of how to handle conflict. Now, has he had situations where he did resort to violence? Yeah, he has had situations where he like, I ain't doing it. You about to get knocked out today, right? So he has had that, but I have seen him at 10 years old handle conflict very wisely. And I think that is, as you put it into practice, it is something that you're gonna have to practice as situations come along. And I think because he does have the tools, he knows if he want to resort to violence or not. So there has been a situation where he had an incident with a kid, and so after it was brought to me saying, "Hey," I'm like, "Oh, I thought y'all were friends. You and her best friends." He like, "No." I'm like, "Well, what happened? Why did y'all get into it?" He's like, "Well, she kicked me." Okay, well, why did she kick you? And he said, "Because I told a kindergarten to hit her." I said, "Well, why would you tell a kindergarten to hit her?" He's like, "Because I just thought it would be funny." Well, no. So then we brought both of them together after school and just kind of talked through the situation like, "Hey, what happened? No, yeah, that was immature. You can't do that. Take accountability for your actions. Do you think it's okay that you told that kindergarten to hit her first? No, I don't think it's okay. Would you want a kindergarten to hit you? No, I don't think so. Okay, well, why would you do that? First, take accountability for your actions. Now, listen to her on why she found that offensive. And so she decided to kick you because of what you told somebody else to do to her. And at the end of the day, it's just all stupid. So now y'all both need to apologize, but you have to be accountable for what you did because you did initiate that. And I think the more you encourage that, that's going to show them how to deal with that conflict head on, and they'll have options on what they want to do. Sometimes you will have to resort to violence, but you also have to emulate what you're teaching them as well. You have to embody that. So, my 2 cents.
Well,
You good, Go ahead.
with that, I'm gonna probably end up staying in that lane, but go take a little more direction. Teach them by leadership. Teach them by, actions based on, because your children are always, they live with us, so their children mimic what they see. So they learn from their parents. Whatever they see mom and dad do, they gonna do. If they see mom and dad up here always arguing, that's what they gonna be want to do, a fighting or whatever. That's what they gonna do. Well, my mom and dad do it, so either that's going to another realm, single parent. If they see their mom always being combative, argumentative, that's what they're going to think. to do. They're going to go to school, especially you have a daughter or a son or something like that. That's what they're going to do. So basically, when it comes to that, how would I teach them resolution is defective by showing them how I do it, how I saying how I do it. Like when I resolve things, I want to sit and talk to a person. I'm going to use the voice that I have now. I'm not going to raise my voice at you because it's going to elevate the situation. It's going to make it worse. So why can't we just sit here and talk about things and try to come to a resolution or come to a common denominator and be like, you know what, let's do this X, Y, and Z, and then if we can't, just agree to disagree. Like so just or either just hold yourself account. You know what, I was wrong. Even especially when you grow up in a two-parent household, when you got a mom and a dad that was married, and you're like, you know what, babe, I was wrong. I shouldn't have done it, never done X, Y, and Z. And if those kids see that, that's gonna take them a long way. Because I agree with Hank. I know we all bros on him, but I gotta agree with these young ladies, man. We are raising our kids to be adults. We got to stop babying them. You know what I'm saying? You can't. You gotta basically talk to these kids, especially these right now. You got to talk to them like grown folk, bro. Cause they coming out. These kids coming in school in pre-K and kindergarten, cussing you out, using vulgar words, talking
But
you
what
crazy. Want to
but
know
what I'm
why? Cause they
saying,
mama doing it.
but and that's what I'm saying. We're talking about not only just talking about our kids. You know, the mentality, their mentals, they may not be ready to be talked to like that. Not every kid's privileged enough to have the intelligence. I had to deal with special needs kids. I didn't always have the kids was the honor roll kids. I had them BD class kids. So
Mm-hmm.
that's what most time when you're a man, especially a black man, and on the elementary middle school level, they're putting you in them BD LD classes, and you're dealing with them overly active kids. So you can't talk to them like because they don't because if you start talking to like adult, then you're gonna get yourself out of character and forget they're a child. Hold on, dude. Kind of like you got to lightweight snatch them up. But I don't
But
know if any of y'all ever had to deal with that.
but
We
I,
had to
I
do
get.
that.
I guess when it comes to you handle certain situations certain ways. But the
Yes.
thing about it, it's like this. Now I don't know about. I know Miss Lady right here said she was a teacher. Now you can't go over in Mayberry talking to them kids like that. You know what
Yes,
I'm saying?
you
But but yeah, you know what? Yeah, you can. But let me preface
They
that
wouldn't,
better. Let
but
me
you
let me
said the
preface that better.
Mayberries wouldn't come off to me like it. Like you said, they'll cuss you out.
Yeah, that's what
That's
I
what
was
I'm
about to
saying.
say.
So if I sit there and keep talking to them, now I'm thinking, okay, I'm talking like adult, but they not adults. They child. I got to keep reminding myself. So if I start talking to an adult, I'm gonna start forgetting they're adults because what? Hold on, little buddy, you're not gonna keep cussing at me like you crazy.
But but at the end of the day, that's why I said I get what you're saying. But at the end of the day, man, it started at home. And then when you get to school, like that, then you know what I'm saying. You were saying about you can't talk to them, bro. They probably get talked to way worse than that at home. They probably heard way worse than that.
But we
So you know
all
what I'm saying.
know that teachers can't do that, brother.
But
you
but
We
have
but
to have
look here.
balance, and it
The
has to
teachers,
yeah,
be
you got to have balance
professional.
though.
teachers don't have no teeth no more. We have no teeth no more. They took our teeth from us. So
Listen, I was
you
talking
can only
bad to
do so
kids,
much
bro.
things. And
Yeah,
I
I,
I
know
hey,
would
let
too.
me, let me say this. In Kentucky, they won't let us suspend them anymore.
Oh,
In the state of Kentucky, we're not allowed to suspend them because as if they're not in school, schools are not getting paid. It's $1,500 a head, and they have to be there at least until a half a day, which is 11:30 for us. They don't want to miss out on that money. They're not going to miss out on money. So you'll send them to principal's office. You go to detention or ISEP or all those other things. Guess what? That same boy will be in there the next day, give you the same hell. That same little girl is in there the next day, matter of fact, give you worse hell. Because guess what? You got me sent to ISEP. I got a referral. They don't even want us to write referrals anymore because it does something to them mentally. That's what they tell us. Once that happened, I said, I'm done. I am done.
that's why I was asking about more so about your own children,
Yeah.
not
But
somebody
and I
else's.
understand.
I brought up the education piece. That's my
Oh,
Yeah.
bad.
okay, okay.
Let
But
me
he,
let me
Oh,
talk.
I do understand. I'm a sped direct, a coordinator, so I get it. I work with all of them, Hink, so I do understand. But the same lessons that I bring at home are the same lessons with my children that I do in the classroom. And I know there is a fine line on turning from professional into, like, I get it. There is a fine line. But it has worked for me. And that is with any educational background, sped to regular. And that has worked from kindergarten until I've worked with eighth graders at the highest. So it has worked for me. I'm not gonna say that it works for everybody else, but with my personality, it has worked. But yes, the conflict resolution, I think it's applicable really to any child though, Humble Dad. It works. And of course, in your own home, you have the right to do whatever you want. But what I did say to kind of help you wrap it up, Humble Dad, that I heard from all the guests is teaching your children proper communication.
Yeah.
That has been the key thing that I've heard. And that's being able to sit one to another and talk about what is bothering you, what the issue is, and then being able to have that dialogue has helped all of us. We've all talked about having that help resolve any conflict that you can be presented with. And so children need to understand how to do that effectively.
Well, let me talk about what I do with my son, and well, I with my daughter at the time. I equate everything to
Somebody
money.
has some feedback, so make sure you mute yourself when you're
I
not talking.
I equate everything to money. I said, and I tell my son, I said, man, hey, look, Hank, that don't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all. That's a bad investment. If you're gonna act like that, you're gonna get a bad outcome. You're gonna get that negative outcome. That means money's lost. And that's how I equate things to him and help him really understand, because he's all about money right now. He's about making money. And I tell him, when you got to get your education, that's your check. School is your job. Your education and your degree is your check. Go get your money. And when I tell him we work for the scholarship, this basketball scholarship, go out there and get your money. Because guess what? At the end of the day, somebody else is going to pay for that school other than me or your mother, or you have to sign up for a student loan. Go get your money. So I equate everything to money to help him have a clear understanding of what's really going on. And I tell him, I said, look, we're not going to act emotional. Now, is there something wrong with emotion? No, as long as it's not really emotion, but passion, I'm okay with that. But when you get overly emotional, then that's when you get out of character. And I constantly remind him about. I say, even your body language is saying something that you don't want to give off. So it's all about that for me, and that's how I really educate, ensure, and help him deal with it. And it's worked so far to this point. Now early in this time, I know when he's in elementary, I would get a call every other day. Man, I get a call. You need to come up premises. He's talking too much. He's doing too much. He's up and out of his seat. So I'm up. He's getting a spanking 3 times a week out of 5. To the point they try to put him on medicine. And my wife at the time, I said, I'm not putting my goddamn son on no medicine. I'll be damned. We're going to figure this out. But he's not going to be on medicine. So that was a no-go for us. But, like I said, he got old. He got more involved and serious with basketball, with football at first, but then really, really got the love of the basketball. All of a sudden, it kind of tailed off his behavior, because he knew if your behavior's not right, you're not playing. I don't care what the coaches say. If they need you, I don't care. You don't play. And so I had to use that as a form of punishment for him, and it worked. And then he started just outgrowing, just mature, and because he was always younger. He's still young. He's gonna when he graduates, he's gonna be 17. So it's kind of scary for have my son on a college campus at the age of 17. But that's what could happen if we don't send him to prep school. But he's always been younger than everybody else he's been playing with and dealing with in all his grade levels. So, but trying to do that and use that as a form of keeping them in line and all of that has really helped too. But yeah.
That's what's up. Hey, Dwayne, you want to wrap this up for us, bro? Now listen, don't go into one of those Baptist sermons, bro. Okay? All right. You can do that.
Are you telling me what to do? No, I'm
yes,
kidding.
because it's my podcast.
I know. I appreciate it. Right? No, no. That's good, y'all. Conflict is good. I do see that conflict is good. A conflict allows for the ability for character building, and my kids provide a lot of opportunity for that. And as for them handling conflict, they'll come. I'll hear them bickering at each other, and I'll address that, and I'll set the ground rules. Hey, if y'all have a problem with each other, communicate with each other. All right. Next, if y'all have a problem with each other and you communicate with each other and it breaks down, come let one of us know. Come let me or your mom know. If you take things into your hands, then you will have your reward, which equates to a consequence if they go outside their purview, because we're trying to give them the avenues in order to handle it right. And I do believe there's a hierarchy of how to manage those things. And Michelle, you alluded to it earlier. As for it's huge to have self-awareness. So even with my kids, like they'll come in and be like, "Hey, such and such did that." I'm like, "Well, what did you do?" There's a default position for me to always ask, "Well, what did you do?" And even whenever it comes to a situation that happens at school or away, it's like, what did you do? Like, yeah, I hear you about that, but what did you do? Because I want to put them in the driver's seat. I want to let them know that nobody dictates your actions. You are the one in control of your own actions. And if you allow other people to remote control you or control you, then you're just going to be going to and fro. You are the one in control of your emotions. And even with that, the Bible says be angry, which is an emotion, but it says but sin not. And that precursor towards the end is a way to manage that over emotion, which you were talking about, Mr. Hank. Is whenever that emotion boils over into unnecessary action or uncontrollable action. And I'll wrap it up with this. Tonight I witnessed something happen between two of my kids. My 4-year-old boy, he was doing a whole lot of whining tonight. He was all in his feelings. And his sister, she was having a good night. And sent them to go brush their teeth. And as I'm watching them go to the bathroom to go brush their teeth, I saw my 4-year-old throw a horse kick back, like a back kick, like a back kick towards his sister. And I'm like, what was that? And I go in and I'm like, that was interesting. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, you just kicked your sister. And he's just sitting there and I'm like, hey. And I asked the sister, I said, and his sister's 6, and I said, what did you do? Because that was uncharacteristic of my son. So I'm wondering, what did you do to then have him do that? And I come to find out she did something that was uncharacteristic. And this is where that interpersonal, for me, I have to analyze this. So what she did was she went close to him and she was like, why are you crying, baby? And I was like, that's interesting. That's mean. That is really, really mean. And I had to handle that. I had to separate her and I had to handle that because there's something going on inside that flowed out to where she wasn't even saying it out loud. She had to whisper it to him, like close, to trigger him. Yes, I teach my son how to handle that, right? But then I also want to teach my daughter, don't provoke people. So it's a tit and a tat. It's like, don't provoke people. So at the end of it, I had to tell her, like, hey, we talk about beauty and all this long hair, all this jazz, yeah, but that's not what. I tell her that's a face value. I'm worried about your heart. I'm worried about your inside. I'm worried about your thought process and how you think about things and how you evaluate things. So with that, I want to address the heart. I want to address the interpersonal. I want to address how your outlook on life is, and again, how you will react to people and how you act towards people. That will determine what comes back to you. And as for conflict management, I want to be able to enable my children to be able to make the best decision whenever I am around them, as for whenever I'm not around them. Because at the end of the day, just they will get their reward. And as for their reward, it's for their actions. So they have to be very, very careful of what they do and how they carry themselves, because that allows them for either rewards or consequences. And sometimes I think that's interchangeable.
That's what's up. This has been dope, man. I really, really appreciate you all for chiming in, for coming on. Love to have y'all back. Your insight was phenomenal. And so y'all can catch these people at different places. Dwayne is antisocial, so you ain't gonna catch him nowhere. Hink is over on Lapeef and Sundays. Shay has her own tax business, and you can just reach her at Shay McNuckles. Uncle Stepdaddy, what can are you on IG?
Yes, sir. I got on my IG is Mr. Suggs Barrio. That's MrSugggsBarrio.
Are you not
Uh,
sure, bro?
yeah, I had to think about it, make sure I spelled it correctly. My Facebook name is my name, Ricardo Suggs. What else? And I have a security business, Sug Security. I do private security, personal security. So if anybody out there that needs security, Humble Deck can drop my email address in the inbox or whatever, or you all can contact me on sugs82@gmail.com. I don't want to put my phone number on here because I don't want to blow it up.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I don't want you to do
yeah,
that either. You know what I'm saying? And then you got Miss Shan. She over there on IG dancing with her kids. You know what I'm saying? I ain't seen too many of those TikToks in a while. I guess ain't no new dance moves came out, so she just gonna be resting for a moment. All right. Well, I appreciate y'all, good people. Until next time, we out here. Deuces. What a dope show. You know what I'm saying? Talking about how to resolve conflict. What is a friend? What is the expectation of a friend? And how to move forward. So all good feedback, and I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to them as well as you listening. Don't forget to go to humbledad.life if you want some of the Humble Dad gear, as well as subscribe to this channel. We almost at 1,000, so help us get there. Like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.